decided to make some films, mostly shorts aimed at social media. I can hear you asking why, and if you want the answer to that question, then you have to read my mission statement. But if you want to know how, then you've come to the right place. So I write a lot of scripts. Most stay either unfinished or as 3 vague lines of dialogue that came to me in a dream. While these scripts normally fester in my notes up until I forget that they're there, I decided to turn 2 of them into my debut shorts. These ideas required a lot of problem solving, a shoot for the stars and land on the moon attitude. As a student and struggling artist, I had no budget. So I enlisted the help of a few of my friends, invaded one of their houses, stole some costumes from PPA, thanks Dave, and got to work. The first of these shorts, titled A Burglary on 34th Street, was a comedic parody of the typical Sherlock and Watson-style detective duo. But because we filmed it in December, I decided to give it a Christmas-style twist, which I think worked in my favour, considering that it got 2,700 views, 96 likes, 5 comments and 9 shares across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube. The second short, Morning, was far more introspective, seeing someone become isolated through the monotony of everyday life. Not exactly a thigh slapper, but it did get 1,671 views, 81 likes, 1 comment and 5 shares. These are still very good numbers, and the drop was to be expected for a few reasons. Number 1, the first post from any new social media account gets more of a push to encourage the account holder to post more. Number 2, our attention spans are fried. If something big doesn't happen within the first few seconds, a lot of people will scroll. And number 3, social media for many people is a form of escape, and laughter is a big part of that. And the mention of laughter brings me onto the discussion of genre. The comedy hashtag on TikTok gives just under 1 billion videos, with the top videos getting around 1 million likes. This proves the market to be very popular, but also very oversaturated, with smaller creators like myself getting lost in the sea of stand-up comedians and viral memes. The horror hashtag, however, returns just 12 million videos, but the top videos still reach that 1 million like mark. This shows that it's just as popular, but nowhere near as saturated. So I decided to make horror the focus of When creating an online identity, it's important to craft content relevant to your ideal consumer. And for the purposes of this project, my ideal consumer is me, or at least people like me. Throughout the various social medias, millennials and Gen Z are the leading generations across the board, especially on Instagram and TikTok, where they, or should I say we, make up over half the platform's users. Horror has proven to be a popular genre amongst millennials and Gen Z, with 54% of all the money grossed from horror films coming from the 15 to 24 age demographic. In a year where horror films such as Sinners and Weapons reigned supreme this award season, and being a horror lover myself, it became clear that investing some time into the genre would benefit my online identity. This led me to create the horror trilogy, consisting of Can You See Me?, a supernaturally spooky horror starring what I can only describe as my sleep paralysis demon, How to Cook Steak, a cooking tutorial gone wrong, and Daisy, a home invasion set to the first recording of a computer making music. The first of these films, Can You See Me?, got 852 views, 39 likes, 2 comments and 43 shares. Now obviously this is a drastic drop in views, getting half of what Morning got. But the shares quadrupled, showing that even though it wasn't being pushed on the For You, Explore and Recommended pages, it was still being shared within social circles. This trend continued, with How to Eat a Steak getting 2,078 views, 70 likes, 3 comments and 23 shares, and Daisy getting 2,647 views, 64 likes, 5 comments and 30 shares. For both of these videos, the view and like count had returned to the numbers that we'd seen during phase 1, but the shares stayed similarly high to the numbers that Can You See Me got. This proves horror to be an effective genre, especially for its shareability. But there's more to creating an online identity than simply posting similar style content. Take A24 for example, a production company well known for its striking cinematography, unique storytelling and commitment to art over mainstream. A24 films don't necessarily follow a specific genre, vibe or structure, having popular horror, war and LGBTQ+ films in their catalogue. But what they do have is a very specific and niche artistic style, voice and logo. And while I have the beginnings of an artistic style and voice, what I didn't have was a logo. Enter Billy, my amazing tattoo artist, who very kindly designed the official logo for Average Day Productions. Now, the name Average Day comes from a conversation that I was having with some of my course mates about how the average day for someone within the arts looks completely different to the average day of someone working in finance or teaching, for example. So now that I had a name and a logo, I was starting to look like a brand, which brings me on to being 5 videos into my 10 video plan, I decided it was time to get a bit more experimental. Now, I don't mean to say that I went completely off the rails, because I didn't. I just mean I switched things up a bit. For example, in Doom Scroll, which shows someone scrolling through their phone, I utilised trending audios to boost engagement, paired with news headlines to avoid straying too far from what the audience might expect after the horror trilogy. Because, let's be honest, the state of the world right now is more horrifying than any film. This video clearly resonated with a lot of people, with it having the highest view count so far at 3,019. The likes were below average at 46, but that's still a very healthy number. What I find the most interesting is that the shares dropped to just 3. As previously mentioned, the horror trilogy had consistently high shares, but not a consistently high view count, whereas Doom Scroll is my most viewed video so far, and my least shared. It's at this moment in time I feel I should explain further the benefits of each metric. The TikTok Creator Fund requires 10,000 followers and 100,000 views in order to join, while the YouTube Partnership Program asks for 1,000 subscribers and 10 million views. On both platforms, views and subscribers/followers seem to be the most valued metric, at least if you want to make money. And even though shares do increase view count, being promoted on the For You feed, Explore page, or Recommended page will push the video to hundreds of people rather than just 1 or 2. A common way to get promoted on these pages is to use trending audios. So in Cleanse, I paired the wonderfully feminist Labour by Paris Paloma with a cheeky bit of fake blood. Cleanse got 1,662 views, making it the second lowest so far, but still double the lowest, which isn't too bad. It got 52 likes, 2 comments, and 3 shares. Very similar numbers to Doom Scroll. In order to get a clearer picture of how influential trending audios can be, I made Patterns, set to Echo Sax No. 9 by Caleb Arredondo. Aside from getting 23 shares, Patterns is my worst performing video, getting just 397 views, 23 likes, and 2 comments. I later found out this was due to the inclusion of a cigarette, which prevented it from being shown on TikTok's For You feed, but interestingly not any other platforms. Something which, if I'd have known in advance, I'd have replaced with a different, non-harmful hobby. I do find it odd though that Cleanse wasn't limited as much as Patterns, considering that I'd sandpapered half my face off. But hey, who am I to question how social media works? Isn't that, like, the point of this video? Oh yeah, the TikTok community guidelines state that they restrict videos that show or promote dangerous activities that involve visible or physical, imminent, moderate harm. They also don't allow content that shows instances of self-harm, with anything involving excessive blood being restricted as well. Obviously, these guidelines are absolutely correct, especially with the amount of impressionable teens that use the app. The inconsistency in the page's actions when compared to their very explicit guidelines makes for the type of content that I regularly see on my own For You feed, despite it also violating these guidelines, leads me to believe that their verification system is very flawed. Spoilers, but that's not the only issue I had with TikTok. The issues with verification applies not only to harmful behaviours, but to issues such as artificial intelligence, political propaganda, and the spread of misinformation. The problem is that the effort required to verify content, whether that's the platform's decision to allow the content or the user's decision to consume, believe, and interact with it, doesn't match the current rhythm of social media. By the time it's been checked by the platform, that content has likely already been seen by at least 100 people. And by the time those people have cross-referenced, found other sources, and made up their own opinion, the content feed has refreshed and moved on. The algorithm rewards immediacy, not accuracy, which is why harmful content such as generative AI and the manosphere tend to spread like wildfire. And since I clearly have enough to say about that for its own video, let's get back to the shorts. Where I did go absolutely mental was with The Landlord, the short with the most similarities to my debut, with its wacky characters and sci-fi plot. Views and likes were back on the up, getting 1,762 and 68 respectively. Shares were lower at 9, but overall I'm happy with how this video performed, considering it didn't play into any trending audios or themes. What brings each of these shorts together is that they are no longer vertical, but horizontal. On platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, this didn't seem to make a difference as the platforms already have an integration method. Where it did make a difference was YouTube. Because YouTube offers both videos and shorts, anything in a horizontal format only gets pushed to subscribers, and in very rare cases, the recommended page. Whereas shorts are presented as part of the endless scroll. All of my horizontals that ended up on YouTube got less than 5 views, which makes sense considering that a successful YouTube video tends to have a format similar to this one, so we'll see how this does. My 10th video was a music video that I made for my friend Harry's album, For Your Love. The track featured was Untitled No. 2, which is my favourite song on the album, and because Harry and I have known each other for just under 10 years, he was more than happy to give me his permission for me to use the track. So I uploaded it to TikTok, and almost instantly, it got muted. I reached out to their customer support, which I'm fairly sure was an AI chatbot, but that's an issue for another time, and explained my situation. They said that there was nothing they could do as they don't offer appeals for copyright infringement under any circumstances. Even after I offered to get his written consent, they still said no. So I re-uploaded it, and it was fine. Nothing happened. Which, if anything, just proves my earlier points about how TikTok really need to get their verification systems under control. The video itself did quite well, getting 2,633 views, 131 likes, 5 comments, and 85 shares. Even if you take away the metrics that were added from the re-upload, the numbers still stand strong at 2,134 views, 108 likes, 2 comments, and 84 shares. The fact that the re-upload didn't even get half the views of the original video shows how having to re-upload due to a mistake or copyright infringement is incredibly harmful to small content creators, as followers, subscribers, or even people that stumble across it on the For You or Explore pages aren't willing to watch content that they've already seen unless it has that rewatchability factor. Still, I'm very happy that my 10th video was my most liked one, as it proves that I'm clearly doing something right. And with my 10 videos complete, that brings me on to... Now it's time to look at some statistics. This project has been an amazing creative endeavour that has taught me so much about filmmaking and so much about how social media works. But before I show you some graphs and charts like the little nerd I am, it's important to clarify that social media metrics never truly settle. Of course, the initial rate of growth does calm down, normally about a week after a video has been posted, but you can never account for an extra pop that a video might get. For example, as I was writing this script, I would have to edit the numbers with every draft to account for the extra views, likes, comments, and shares that a video might get here and there. So while the numbers are correct at the time of writing, they will likely have increased by the time of filming, and they will definitely have increased by the time of watching. So if you are interested in a more accurate depiction, then you might as well check out my profile and give me a few more views while you're at it. As you can see, the overall view count for each of my videos didn't vary too much. Burglary on 34th Street, the horror trilogy, and Untitled No. 2 got the highest numbers, but Mourning, Cleanse, and The Landlord weren't too far behind. The lowest being Patterns makes sense due to the ban from the TikTok For You feed. The overall likes tell a similar story, as you can see. Where it gets interesting is when you look at the numbers from each app. On Facebook, my most viewed videos were Doom Scroll and Cleanse, which is likely due to the viral audios I used for both. And the likes were all pretty similar, considering that they only reached the absolute heights of 3 whole likes. On Instagram, Burglary on 34th Street remained the highest, with How to Cook Steak coming in second. Once again, all the others are within a similar bracket, and the likes tell a similar story, apart from How to Cook Steak taking a bit of a hit. Over on TikTok, Doom Scroll and Untitled No. 2 got the most views, but it was Mourning that took second place in terms of likes. The views and likes on YouTube look very similar, due to all the horizontals being listed separately from the shorts. Overall, Doom Scroll got the most views, but on each app a different video took first place. On Facebook, it was Cleanse, Instagram, A Burglary on 34th Street, TikTok, Untitled No. 2, and YouTube, Daisy. While Daisy and Cleanse share a similar horror vibe, there aren't many similarities between Untitled No. 2 and Burglary on 34th Street, showing just how different audiences can be on different platforms. The likes have a bit more unity, with Untitled No. 2 being my most liked overall, and the most liked on Facebook and TikTok. The Landlord shares the top spot for the likes on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Burglary on 34th Street, and on YouTube, it's Daisy. This shows that across the board, Untitled No. 2, Daisy, and Burglary on 34th Street were my most well-received videos. It's also very interesting to see where the views and likes mostly came from. As you can see, a common trend is that the majority of views and likes come from TikTok, with Instagram coming in second. As these are the social medias that I use the most, it makes sense that the content I make naturally gears more towards them. This is true for Burglary on 34th Street, Morning, Can You See Me, How to Cook Steak, Doom Scroll, The Landlord, and Untitled No. 2. What breaks the pattern is Daisy, where YouTube generated the most views, and likes were fairly similar. Patterns performed best on Instagram, which again is due to the ban on TikTok's For You feed. Cleanse got the most views from Instagram, but the most likes from TikTok. These numbers show that TikTok is where I should be focusing my efforts. The viral nature of the For You feed allows for the most exposure, but other social media platforms shouldn't be disregarded, as you never know where a video might gain traction. Operating across all 4 social media platforms will help to give my brand the most exposure and extend my audience reach. In terms of genre, horror seems to be the most consistent, but there doesn't seem to be a specific genre that outperforms the others. This also applies for length of video, casting type, color grading, and any other metric. The thing that I've learned most about being a successful filmmaker is not to chase metrics like likes, follows, views, or shares, and simply to make the content that I want to make. Social media is so unpredictable, and instead of constantly chasing trends and trying to predict virality, I would much rather make content that fulfills me as a creative and that I can be proud of. Thank you for watching.